Hey, what's up, everyone? How's everyone doing today? It is Monday, March 9th. That's Monday, March 9th. Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Hopefully no one is keeping clean from this whole coronavirus thing going on. Fucking coronavirus, man. Unbelievable. This shit's spreading like wildfire. It is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. This whole coronavirus thing is really just wild, man. It's really taking this world by storm. But other than that, hope you guys are staying healthy. Hope you guys are staying safe. Hope everything's going good. We have a lot to dissect on this podcast. We have the fights from Saturday night, UFC 248, Zhang and Joanna and Romero. We have UFC Fight Night coming up this weekend to talk about. And we have that crazy co-main event that was absolutely insane. Something to watch. Something to look forward to. Like I told you guys, we'll talk about this all coming up on the podcast. For right now, I'll be back with this brief break and talk to you guys very soon. Welcome back. Thank you guys again for listening to the Fisticuffs podcast. 100% appreciate your guys' support. Thank you guys so much. Couldn't do this without you guys. I love you guys so much. Again, just want to say thank you so much for your support. Thank you for liking and subscribing to the Fisticuffs podcast on YouTube. Thank you for following me on Instagram at Fisticuffs podcast. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Again, without you guys, I could not do this. Thank you guys again. I appreciate it so much. Today's podcast, again, brought to you by GovX.com. GovX, if you are a first responder, military, law enforcement, or EMS or firefighter, get yourself the GovX login today. Register up on GovX.com. Show them proof of identification. Once you do that, wait for them to respond, and then gather all your GovX needs. Have access to thousands of merchandise, a lot of items such as EOTech optics, Vortex optics, all of your first responder needs on GovX.com, all at a discounted rate. Again, GovX.com for all you first responders. If you guys are looking to get new equipment, new clothes, new anything for the job, GovX.com has it. Again, check it out, GovX.com, where you get all your first responder needs at a discounted rate. All right, guys. So here we are. Sorry, had to cough, sneeze. So March 7th, UFC 248. Zhang and Joanna and Romero. I'm pretty sure, because I'm gonna cut right to the chase. I'm pretty sure on my last podcast I mentioned that the co-main event, Zhang and Joanna were going to absolutely kill it. They were absolutely going to steal the show. And what did they do? Ladies and gentlemen, they stole the show. Oh my God, what a fight, man. What an absolute fucking fight that was. Guys, that fight was absolutely legit. I told you they were going to steal the show. I told you. I absolutely told you they were going to steal the show. And that's exactly what they did. That co-main event was absolutely insane. You're talking about one of the greatest fights of all time. Not even just in the women's division. I'm talking about both women's and men's. You're talking about one of the greatest fights of all time. Okay? I know everyone keeps saying that's the greatest female fight of all time. 100%. But I definitely think that fight is easily top 5. 100%. 100% that fight, top 5. That fight is the best UFC female fight that has ever happened. But in terms of fights generally, with men included, that fight is top 5. 100%. That fight was insane. Crazy fight. Those girls were those women were absolutely insane. Striking for 5 minutes, for 5 rounds. Did you see Joanna's forehead? She looked like fucking Mr. Blue out of the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton at the end of that movie. It was insane. Absolutely insane. Her forehead blew up so bad. And she kept fighting. Jaylee Wang's face, same thing. Bloodied up. These girls were going at it, man. These girls went to war. These girls were absolutely insane. That fight was one of the greatest fights I've ever seen. Like I said, top 5 easily, 100%. Those girls were just absolutely insane. And here's the thing too. Stylistically, you're talking about Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who's one of the best all time. Okay, she came prepared for this fight, man. Her fight camp was great. She was ready to go. Proper mindset. Everything was there. She was at the right weight that she needed to be at. Her chin was fine. Everyone was questioning her chin because of the different fluctuations in weight classes that she was fighting at. Strawweight is her weight, man. 100%. Strawweight is her weight. This is where she belongs. She was eating punches like you wouldn't believe. She was giving punches like you wouldn't believe. Joanna was doing it all in that octagon on Saturday night. It was absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. That fight was exactly how I saw it going. And I know I said it in my last podcast, and I'm telling you right now, that fight was absolutely insane. 100%. And not for nothing, again, I don't know about you guys, but like I said, that co-main event stole the show. 100%. 100% stole the show. It was exactly supposed to be. It was what I thought it was, and it was what it was supposed to be. So, and I know so now in terms of who won. So for those of you who didn't watch the fight, Zhang Weili won. She retained her title. Joanna lost by decision. Yes, that fight did go all 5 rounds. Yes, I don't know how, but it did. That fight was that crazy, but it did go all 5 rounds. And I'm not sure what happens in terms of... I mean, it's one of those things where that fight was not... You couldn't go wrong with that fight. From a judge's perspective, you couldn't go wrong with that fight. Now, my thing is, statistically speaking, in terms of strikes landed, significant strikes landed, Joanna had more by a lot. It wasn't close. It was pretty much like a landslide. Like, she had it she won, and she landed by a lot. Damage wise, you're looking at Zhang Wang, Zhang Weili, who I would say definitely gave more damage to Joanna than Joanna gave damage to her. I think that, again, you really, as a judge, you really couldn't fault this kind of fight. I think this fight was everything that you would hope for. I think it was such a close fight that it was just one of those things where if it didn't end by knockout or submission, that it was a fight where you would think that, okay, we'll just give that fight to the champion who, and obviously that was Zhang Weili. And I think that's kind of how the judges saw it. Ideally, we're obviously not going to know. In my opinion, I think she did exactly what she had to do in that fight. She landed punches. She had a lot of damage. She dished out a lot of damage, and I think the judges saw that and statistically didn't care about who landed more strikes or more significant strikes. And again, when I say that it was a lot, I mean I think there was like almost 1,000 strikes each, or some crazy stat number like that. That those women threw. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. It was crazy. I never seen anything like it. They threw like 300 strikes in like one round, I think. It was absolutely ridiculous. And I think I think the champion held the advantage because she was champion. I don't think, again, Joanna didn't. She dished out damage too, don't get me wrong, and statistically, obviously, she dealt more strikes, but I don't think the judge saw her victorious or do enough to be victorious. Now, in my personal opinion, I think Joanna won that fight. I think you look at it in terms, and if you look at it in terms of damage, she dished out her own damage too. Okay? No, she did not give Wei Li a freaking huge ass bump on the forehead, but she was bloodied up, and statistically, she landed more strikes. So for me, in my personal opinion, I think Joanna won that fight, not Wei Li. I think Joanna won that fight. But again, it's not a fight that causes controversy because those two female fighters did everything that they were supposed to do in that fight, and because that fight was so great that you wanted both of them to win. You know what I mean? It sucked that one of them had to lose. So ideally, you couldn't really go wrong with that fight and how you judged it, especially for the judges. So again, it really doesn't matter that Joanna lost, and it doesn't matter that Wei Li won. You know what I mean? And vice versa. It would have been the same thing, vice versa. You couldn't boo the decision no matter what, because those women did exactly what they went in there. Fierce warriors. And they were absolutely knocking the heads off each other. It was absolutely insane. That fight was ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. And for the most part, again, can't be upset. It's just one of those fights where you got the victor. You have Wei Li, who's still champion. Joanna, heck of a fight. She did everything that she had to do. She did everything that she was supposed to do. She came up short, yes, but again, either fighter could have won that fight. Honestly. And everyone was happy about it. Again, there was no booing that fight. The intensity of that crowd watching that fight, even for me as a viewer who was watching the fight, I was so into that fight. I was like, oh my God, these girls are going at it. Absolutely going at it. It was insane. And then I can only imagine being a fan witnessing that live in person. Absolutely insane. Like you could hear the emotions coming from the crowd. That's how invested they were. It was insane. And me as a viewer, I was at the edge of my seat, biting my nails because I was so freaking like intent in this fight that I was so into it that I was like, oh my God, who's gonna win or what's gonna happen? You did not want to blink. That's how crazy this fight was. You absolutely did not want to blink. You know what I mean? So it was the best women's fight in the UFC, and again, like I said before, easily top 5 in UFC history. 100%. That fight was just absolutely insane. And like I said in my last podcast, it stole the show, man. It stole the show. I'm getting like amped up talking about this fight still. You know what I mean? But we'll see what happens. And for the future, there's a few choices you could go from here that either fighter could take up. I think it's definitely going to. They definitely need to rest up for sure, 100%, because like I said, those ladies did exactly what they were supposed to do. But that strawweight division's absolutely heating up for sure. There's a lot to be excited about when Weili recovers and she's healthy and another fight presents itself. I think you could do a couple fights. I think you could do the rematch with Joanna. That's a possibility. Tatiana Suarez, I think that's a possibility. I'm going to talk about her in a minute. Talk more about her in a minute. Jessica and Jandre, I think that is stylistically a good fight, but I think one where Weili could would actually come out victorious in that fight. You have Rose Namajunas and Valentina Shevchenko. Now, those last two names that I mentioned are definitely high contender fighters. I think that you could do a fight with Rose would be definitely a big fight, but a bigger fight if you're looking to really solidify, at least for Weili, if she's looking to solidify her legacy, which might be still a little too early. I'll probably give her another fight or two before we do this, and that also depends on Shevchenko. If Valentina Shevchenko retains her flyweight championship belt, I think you could do a big money fight between Weili and Shevchenko. You have the UFC flyweight champion in Shevchenko, and then you have the UFC strawweight in Weili. Those two go at it. See who becomes a 2-time division champ. That would be a huge fight. That would be a huge fight. I think those two would definitely go at it stylistically. I think they match up perfect for each other. 100%. Stylistically, they both could strike. Go to the ground. They need to go to the ground. Weili's wrestling is pretty solid. Her striking is pretty solid, but Shevchenko's no joke either. So, I think. So here's what I'm thinking. Kind of gonna go back to Tatiana Suarez. She is legitimate. For those of you who don't know Tatiana Suarez, look her up. Tatiana Suarez, she is no joke. Her striking is pretty solid, but her wrestling is insane. I think that she could. I believe she could be able to do enough to take out Weili. 100%. I think Tatiana Suarez could strike just enough, but utilize her takedowns effectively, especially if it gets into the late championship rounds where she can come out victorious just through her wrestling alone. I think she's that dominant. I think her wrestling is that dominant. I think it's better than Weili's wrestling, and I think that that fight would potentially go to the ground because Suarez knows that her wrestling is that good. So I think 100% that fight would make sense, and I think that Suarez would definitely win that fight. I would also make an argument for a rematch with Joanna. I think a rematch between those two would be fucking huge. Imagine what a rematch would be between those two. You know what I mean? Imagine what a rematch fight would be like with those two. Absolutely insane. It would be absolutely insane. So for me, if I had to kind of do like a 1, 2, 3 on this, I would definitely say first choice would be Tatiana, second choice Joanna Jędrzejczyk, third choice Rose, and then lastly Valentina Shevchenko. If Weili could get past Tatiana, if Weili gets past Tatiana, I think you do a champ versus champ matchup. I think you do the money fight for the females in the strawweight and flyweight division. I really do. I think Tatiana's that big of a deal where if Weili defeats Tatiana, I think that's what you do. You do a champ versus champ matchup, flyweight flyweight champion versus strawweight. I don't know. But if not, then like I said, Tatiana's 1, Joanna's 2, and then I think 3. You go with Rose at number 3, and then maybe Jessica Andrade at number 4, and then Shevchenko will be last. I think Shevchenko will always be last because she's a champion, and I think that's a money fight. You want your champion versus championship matchup. So that fight is something precious. That's the fight that you want to build up to, especially for Weili. And I think this was her first or second title defense. So this is something that when she sees more contenders and she's able to defeat them, that fight's going to mean a lot more. So that's in my opinion, of course. But that's what I'm thinking. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking. But I think that, and also speaking of Tatiana again, I think Tatiana beats both of these women. I think she beats Joanna too, not just Weili. And again, Weili gained a lot of fans too, man. I'm telling you, a lot of fans. I think it was very important. I don't know. I think you got a lot of fans for her. I think that you got Rose and I know you got Rose and Jessica Andrade fighting. I think the winner of that fight will fight Joanna next, or should fight Joanna next. I know you have a background history with Rose because Rose beat her twice. So it's just one of those things where you kind of have you gotta have some options. But again, I think Tatiana beats both women. And Joanna and Weili. I think that I would like to see the rematch, but I would love to see that fight with Tatiana a lot more. So we'll definitely see how that goes. But again, Weili gained a lot of fans. That fight had the magnitude to be, like I said, easily top 5 fight in the UFC history. It was an excellent fight. It was good. It was good for MMA. You really can't go no wrong with that fight. Again, in terms of who won, I mean, you really can't. You couldn't go wrong with the winner. Both fighters were excellent. I think the judges just looked at it on who sustained more damage, and because Joanna looked like Mr. Blue from the Edward Norton Hulk movie, you kind of it is what it is at that point, But again, that fight was just a really solid fight. So, moving on, you have the main event. Now, in my last week's podcast, I'm pretty sure I said that the fight could have gone either two ways. You could have had Romero, who would have came out like a bat out of hell, or you could have had Romero do exactly what he did. And he just sat around. For everyone who was saying that fight should have been Yoel Romero's fight, you don't know much of anything about the sport, to be completely honest with you. Izzy did everything he had to do to win that fight, and that was it. Nothing more, nothing less. He did what he needed to do to win the fight. Obviously, Yoel's game plan was I don't know what the hell his game plan was. I'm not sure what him and his corner were thinking. I think they, like I said, I think they were trying to come up with some type of mental game plan that they wanted Izzy to trap into, but Izzy did not. He maintained his composure. He did exactly what a champion was supposed to do. He picked his shots. He isolated the leg. He took out the leg. He did everything that he was supposed to do and won that fight. I think it was a situation where Yoel did everything to lose that fight. I just think like you're just not doing enough. You know what I mean? Like, this is possibly your last title fight, and you're coming out looking like that. Like, he didn't even make a move. Like, that whole first round, they didn't even do anything. It was just Izzy throwing some strikes. Yoel threw like I think maybe one counter strike and landed, and that was it. You don't give him that round. Izzy was moving forward. He was a little more aggressive. He was striking a little more, but still, you just were standing there. It's like you didn't want to fight the guy. It was so bizarre. It was probably one of the most bizarre fights I've seen. And especially for someone like Yoel Romero, whose nature is to be a beast and an animal and push forward and strike, you didn't do that at all, bud. And you can't be mad about that. You shot your you know what I mean? Like, you didn't really do much to win that fight at all. It was all Izzy. Izzy did everything he had to do, and that was that. Unfortunately, the situation is what it is. But again, I think that I don't know. I just think that's just I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but I mean, it was just bizarre, man. It was bizarre. It was something that I didn't expect. That's for damn sure. I'm sure a lot of people didn't expect. But then again, you're talking about a main event that was supposed to follow up with the co-main. No way, man. No way. That main event was failed from the start. After that co-main event, that main event was failed from the start. There was no living up to those expectations of that co-main event. But I mean, again, not to the magnitude that the main event did. I thought there was going to be a lot more strikes involved, but the fact that it was the way it was, even after that co-main event, no, it was doomed to fail from the start, from the get-go. Absolutely insane. But like I said, Yoel Romero had a game plan. It didn't work, so now the guy's making up excuses, whatever bullshit, But that's on you, my man. That's on you, dude. Again, Izzy did exactly what Izzy was supposed to do. He's the motherfucking champion, all right? He's going to fight his fight. You get what I mean? You are supposed to have a game plan. You are supposed to go in there and attack. You didn't attack. He's the champion. He has what you want. What are you going to do? Just stand there and do nothing? Come on, dude. No way. You know what I mean? Like, that's not happening, dude. I'm sorry, but that's not happening. You had to go in there, you had to attack, you had to get that. If you wanted that belt, you had to get that belt, and you didn't do it. You didn't. You decided to do this little petty bullshit, this little wacky poo bull crap, and you fucked up, man. You fucked up, and I'm surprised that your corner didn't. I'm surprised that the corner didn't fucking say, "Hey, we gotta change it up. Shit ain't working." For fucking 5 rounds, you were doing that bullshit, and for 5 rounds, you were getting picked off by Izzy. You know what I mean? So I think Stylebender Izzy guy has great footwork. He did exactly what he was supposed to do, man. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. It was on Romero to take what he wanted, not for Izzy to give it to him. It's that simple. It's that simple. All right. It's that simple. There's nothing more, nothing less. That fight was for you to go and get it, and you didn't. You didn't. Okay? And I love how at post-fight conference, because Izzy says that he fucked up his leg, he won't be able to walk. I love how he fucking dances around like he's fine. So what, dude? Your leg's still fucked up. Okay? And you still fucking lost. So clearly you really didn't give a fuck about the title. You were just getting paid. Fine. Whatever, dude. I can honestly say that you're not getting the title ever again. This is it. This is your last shot. This was your last shot. But you beat Yoel Romero how Izzy fought Yoel Romero. That's how you beat Yoel Romero. You don't fucking go in. You don't lose your cool. You don't just start fucking taking some unnecessary risks. You fight your fight, and that's it. You pick your shots. You execute your shots, and you win. If you gotta win by points, you win by points, man. These are world-class fighters. There's no such thing as, oh, you gotta fucking go in and fucking knock. No. You don't need to knock out his head. You don't need to do any of that bullshit. These are world-class fighters. Best of the best. You win any which way you have to. Izzy won by points, and that's that, man. Stylebender won his fight. He did his thing. Romero did not, and he paid the price for it, and it is what it is. That's it. You know what I mean? That's it. So, I don't know. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Again, that main event was doomed to fail anyways because of the co-main. I just think it's just one of those things where it's unfortunate that Romero did what he did. I wish he came out fighting. I wish he came out strong, but he didn't. He tried to play the mind game, and Stylebender wasn't having it. And you know what? You should know better. I mean, so what has Stylebender done to dictate that he plays the mental game? You know what I mean? So, and I like Stylebender a lot, man. I like Izzy. Izzy's a great fighter. He's a great champ. His style of fighting reminds me a lot like Anderson Silva's style of fighting. And you can't even. And here's the thing too. You can't even say that Izzy wasn't fighting either. Look at the Anderson Silva fight. Look at the Kevin Gastelum fight. Look at the Robert Whittaker fight. All 3 fights, man. He was ready to fight. He was throwing blows. Look at the Kevin Gastelum fight. Those guys went to war for 5 rounds. And then finally, the championship rounds, Stylebender got to him. Got to Gastelum and hurt him. Almost knocked him out. You know what I mean? Robert Whittaker, the Whittaker fight. Same exact thing. Whittaker comes out fighting. So does Izzy. And look what happens. Izzy fucked him up. Izzy won by knockout. You know what I mean? So you can't say that this isn't how Izzy fights. Oh, that's how Izzy fights. Izzy does not fight like that. Again, he fights in the magnitude of what his opponent brings to the table. And in this case, exactly what Romero did. Except Izzy did it better. Stylebender did it better. Used his footwork, used his strikes, changed the angles. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. It's not like Izzy or Stylebender has a bad track record of fights. He has an excellent track record of fights. This was the one fight where you scratch your head, and I know that it's all because of Romero. Enough said. And it is what it is. But looking forward, what's next for Israel Adesanya? Well, so here we go. You have Jon Jones, who's the UFC light heavyweight champ. You got Paulo Costa. You got Robert Whittaker. You got Darren Till. And you got Jared Cannonier. So, I think the big money fight between Adesanya and Jones won't happen anytime soon. I think that kind of fight should happen, but I don't think it will happen soon. I think what the whole heavyweight and light heavyweight division, it's kind of got something like almost like a standstill almost. I think Jon Jones should fight Stipe Miocic when he gets healthy. I think that's a big money fight. I think the next fight that should happen should be the Paulo Costa fight. Hopefully Costa could get healthy, whatever bullshit issues he's got going on. Hopefully he can get healthier soon. I think that's the fight to make. I think the Adesanya Costa fight is the fight to have. That's a big fight right there. If that fight doesn't go through, then I think Robert Whittaker and Darren Till are fighting. I think the winner of that fight should get Adesanya next. So, I think they're fighting in London, I want to say. Or no, not London, in Dublin. I think, Whittaker Till. I think that's in Dublin. That's the kind of fight that whoever wins that fight would be next in contention, depending on Costa, obviously. If Pablo Costa cannot go for whatever reason, due to medical reasons, then yeah, I think that's the fight. Because obviously you don't want to wait long enough, and I don't even think Stylebender wants to wait. You know, he's the kind of guy that fights about like four times a year. So you put him back in there. I think Whittaker versus Till, I think that would be a great fight. I think stylistically that fight's pretty fucking solid. They're both excellent strikers. I think Whittaker's wrestling, I think, is bigger, but I think striking, those two guys are stylistically a perfect match for each other. That's going to be a huge fight. I think that Darren Till going up to middleweight. He fought against Kelvin Gastelum, who just came off a loss against Stylebender, and Till was able to beat Gastelum via decision on the Diaz Masvidal fight card. So I think that's a big. I think that was a big win for Till, especially going up to middleweight for the first time. I think he's gonna have his hands full with Robert Whittaker in Dublin, but I think it's gonna be an important fight. It's gonna be a solid fight. I think it's gonna be a great fight. I think if Till comes out victorious, I think you could say, all right, Till Adesanya. But again, it all depends on how Costa is. I think that is the fight to make next as long Costa is healthy. If he's healthy, you make that fight. If he's not, depending on how long he's going to be out for, you skip that fight until he is healthy, and hopefully by that time, Izzy would still be champion, and then they could get it on. And because they've built an interesting rivalry as of late, so it'll definitely be an interesting matchup for sure between those two. But that's my personal opinion. That's what I think should happen, should go down. We'll see what happens. Like I said, John Jones and Izzy shouldn't happen yet, but we'll see. We'll see how something like that happens. But again, I think that's something that you'll have to wait and see, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But ideally, the Costa fight will be next. If that fight can't happen, I think the winner of Whittaker and Till. And if Till wins, then depending on Costa and how long he's going to be out, that would be the fight to make. 100%. 100%. What else? Oh, here we go. My boy, who I was also very excited to see. He was on the prelims. Okay, someone who I've been watching since the Tuesday night the Tuesday night Contender Series that Dana White shows. This fucking guy, Sean O'Malley. I'm telling you right now, remember the name, Sean O'Malley. Again, Sean O'Malley. Again, Sean O'Malley. Sugar Sean O'Malley. In case you guys didn't know. Alright? This fucking dude is going to be the next superstar. He just has that kind of fucking swag, man. Sean O'Malley has that kind of fucking swag where you're just like, you know what? That motherfucker is going to be the next superstar. And the performance that he displayed on March 7th during the prelims, the main event of the prelims, my God, man, dominated. Knockout win. Dominated the fight. Absolutely dominated. He's a southpaw. I'm already biased with southpaws because I'm a southpaw. But he's a southpaw. He's an excellent striker. His ground game is excellent. This guy is legit, man. He's no joke. He's no fucking joke. Okay? Again, Sean O'Malley. Like I said, he has that superstar swagger. Fucking, and not for nothing, all the fucking greats had that swagger. You look at guys like Conor McGregor, he had it. Look at guys like John Jones, he had it. You know what I mean? You look at guys like Kumar Usman, he has it. And then obviously Israel Adesanya. Those guys have it, man. So does Sean O'Malley. I think Sean O'Malley is going to be a huge deal in the UFC. 100%. You can mark my words on that. Sean O'Malley is going to be a huge deal in the UFC. I promise you that. What else? Oh yeah, there was a little scuffle that happened at the pay-per-view fights between Brian Ortega and Jay Park. Something that obviously stems from the Korean Zombie. Brian Ortega and the Korean Zombie are supposed to fight. Something kind of just, I guess, some bullshit happened on social media where Korean Zombie's team were basically talking shit about Brian Ortega, and I guess Brian Ortega just felt that Jay Park was somehow involved, so he ended up I guess Korean Zombie ended up slapping Jay Park in the face, causing some controversy, some bullshit like that. Korean Zombie obviously was fucking pissed, so he goes on Twitter and all this bullshit. A fight and a little altercation happens and all this crap. But that's gonna be an interesting fight to see when that fight comes to fruition. Brian Ortega and Korean Zombie. That's gonna be a pretty solid fight. Can't wait for that one. But it is what it is. I think Brian Ortega since came out on Twitter and apologized, but I don't know. But last thing we got, I think we got Fight Night, right? We got Fight Night on Saturday, UFC Fight Night 170, in Brasilia. Okay. This fight is going to be closed off to the public because of the whole coronavirus pandemic. I think this fight is going to only feature the fighters and that's it. No fans, nobody. That's going to be interesting. It's going to have a true blue feel to it. You got the main event is Kevin Lee versus Charles Oliveira. That's going to be a solid fight. You're looking at two top contenders. Charles Oliveira, who's a excellent striker, but a more Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. Oliveira is solid on the ground. Kevin Lee can strike. His wrestling is also excellent. His wrestling is really good. That's going to be a really good fight to watch out for this weekend. If you're watching fights on Saturday, I believe fights start at 6 p.m. That's a fight to watch for. You got the co-main event between Damian Maia and Gilbert Burns. That's also an excellent fight. Gilbert Burns and Damian Maia strike. Damian Maia, obviously more of a jiu-jitsu guy. Gilbert Burns is a striker. That's going to be a good fight. It's kind of Damian Maia's like last two-rut type of fight, sort of. He kind of fell off the face of the earth a little bit. But that should be a good fight to see. And then another important fight to really keep an eye on is the Johnny Walker light heavyweight fight between him and Nikita Krylov. I think Johnny Walker is he's the kind of fighter that has a lot of hype behind him. Still does. However, he had a shoulder injury that when he fought like 2 fights ago, where he did something stupid and ended up hurting himself. He lost his last fight. So this fight is definitely a big deal for him in terms of hype. If he loses this fight, obviously you're diminishing down the hype train. You win this fight, you're bringing yourself back up to the stardom talk. So we'll see. Johnny Walker is an excellent fighter. He's a good striker, good wrestler. He's an all around talent, But we'll see what happens. Those are the bigger fights to look out for. We'll talk about again the whole Kevin Lee fight. That's a big fight. Kevin Lee's huge in the lightweight division. What's next after that? Depending on if he wins, I'd love to see Kevin Lee versus Justin Gaethje. I think that'll be a huge fight. Obviously, we'll have to see how the whole Khabib and Ferguson fight pans out next month in terms of what's next for the lightweight guys. But I think if Kevin Lee wins this fight, I'd love to see him and Gaethje go at it. Kevin Lee's top notch in the lightweight division, so it's going to be an interesting fight card. Check it out. It's UFC Fight Night 170. It's tomorrow. It's going to be presented on ESPN, ESPN Plus. You can watch it. All right. And keep it on Johnny Walker. See what happens with him. Again, another young stud, rising star. who's looking to make a name for himself. He's got the it factor. Just unfortunately, a couple things kind of hindered on him. So we'll see what happens with him. Hopefully, it all works out, but we'll see. All right. So that's it, guys. Again, thank you for listening to the Fisticuffs podcast. I love you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you again. Thank you for listening. Follow me on YouTube at Fisticuffs. Follow me on Instagram at Fisticuffs Podcast. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're on Instagram, like and follow. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it again. Until next time, guys. Take care. All right. Bye.